All right. Hello, and welcome. Today, we are discussing how prioritizing your concerns can really help you get what you need from your doctor. This is one of those big key moments because if you have this and understand this, you will definitely start to be able to get more of what you need from your doctor because this is what happens, right? You make that doctor's appointment, you go in because you have a few things that you want to talk to them about. But then after you leave, you realize that you didn't get your things answered like you thought that you would. You're leaving with a lot of questions, things are not being answered. Does that sound familiar? Probably so, because this is something that I am hearing about a lot from a lot of people. As a primary care physician, I have also witnessed this myself. I have patients who come in, they have multiple things that they want to talk about, but what ends up happening is they don't put things in the right order or they don't leave enough time to discuss things properly. And then what happens is they still don't get all of the things answered the way that they need to be answered. So today, my goal is to be able to help you prioritize those things, but also present them to your doctor so that you can get what you need. And we're just going to do some very simple steps on how you can do that. If this is your first time watching, I am Dr. Ashley Booth. I am a board certified family medicine physician and I am ready to get into it. But before I do that, if you have not subscribed and followed and all of that good stuff, go ahead and do that now. If you are watching live, go ahead and tell someone, hey, she is live and she's talking about something that's going to help you. Because I promise you, if you go to the doctor and you have a couple of things you want to talk to them about, you really want to watch this so that you can so you can get the answers that you really want. So go ahead and share and let the people know. If you are watching live right now, go ahead and say hello. A lot of times I'm able to see it. You can say hello. You can tell me where you're watching from. I love the love and I want to give it back. So let me know so that way I can say hello to you. But you can let me know. If I don't say anything, means that I didn't see it, but I will comment afterwards because I always watch the replay. I always make sure that I get a chance to say hello. So let's just jump into it. What ends up happening is that many of you are frustrated because you're like, that doctor didn't answer it. I had things I want to talk about and they didn't even talk about it. They talked about something else, or I didn't get a chance to talk about all the things that I wanted to talk about. And what I am realizing is that the best way to approach that is to not only one, prioritize your concerns, but to also present your concerns. And presentation is key. The way that you present it can make a difference in what you are going to be able to get. Because I want you to remember, you have what I like to call 15 minutes to win it. You only have 15 minutes. That is the average time of a doctor's visit. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot of time. And in those 15 minutes, what you have to be able to do is to discuss your concerns. Let your doctor ask you some questions about that so they can figure out a better way of what's going on. Do an exam. And then after they do that exam, come up with a plan. So they have to do all of those things in 15 minutes. So as you can see, that's not a lot of time, which means that you realistically will only be able to address two to maybe three concerns. That's it. Realistically, two to three concerns. And when you're doing that, you have to use your time wisely because with those two, and the reason I say two to three concerns, it depends on the type of visit. If you are coming in for a follow up and you're following up on something like diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever is going on, and they are following you up on that, they already have a plan in place of what they want to talk to you about, see how things are going. So that technically is already one concern and one issue that they need to see. Has it resolved? Is it getting better? What else do we need to do? And then from that, depending on how much is going on with that situation, you may have time for maybe one other thing. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I have a lot of people who say, oh, I have a follow up, so I'm just going to talk about all the things in that follow up. You may not have time for that. You may only have time to talk about one or maybe two other things, but realistically, usually it's about one other thing, depending on the time. The other one is if you have an acute visit. So, say you call them up and you say, hey, I have this going on. And then by the time they get you in, something else comes up or there's another concern that you have, then you may have time to talk about two to maybe three different things. Depends on what it is. Again, depending on how much time is needed for that first thing. But to be able to do it and to approach it, you have to follow these steps. So the first thing you want to do is write it down. Put it down. Okay. When you call that doctor's office and you make that appointment, or when you go and you say, I'm going for this, and so I also want to talk to them about this, write it down. And when I say write it down or put it down, your phone. Everybody knows that I love the phone and I love just a few little apps. And the main one that you need to have is like a notepad app. And you can put your information in that phone, write it down so that way you can keep track of it. That way you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, I wanted to talk about this and I want to talk about this and da da da. And the other reason why I say your phone, because that is the one thing you will not leave at home. Most people take their phone when they leave the house. That little notepad that you have that's cute is probably going to be on the nightstand, on the table, or whatever. So use your phone, make it work for you. So put that information in there and jot it down. The second thing that you want to do, now that you have it in your phone, you want to put it in order and put it in order from most of concern to least concern. Now, some people say, well, I don't know. They all kind of started happening around the same time, or this happened, and they both seem like relatively important to me because I'm coming to the doctor. Okay, I get that. But the way I want you to think about it is when I go, what is that one thing that if they take care of it, I'll have some peace of mind about it? I will feel like if they resolve this, I'll feel pretty good about it. And I feel like it was a good use of my time. So that is, once you think about that, that's how you want to list it and put it in order. The third thing you want to do, and this one is all about what I'm talking about when it comes to presentation, you want to list those things and give that information to the nurse and to the doctor. And I cannot stress this enough, the nurse is key because when the nurse first comes in, they're going to take your vitals and then they're going to say, what brings you in today? Or why are you here today? They're going to jot that information down. You tell them and list it. Don't go into the details of it. I want to stress that. You don't want to say, oh, I'm having abdominal pain and it started so, and I'm having this and da da da. Da. No, just if you have three major things or two major, whatever those things are, tell those things and tell it to the nurse. The nurse is important because the nurse is going to put that in the chart and that information is going to get communicated to the doctor, or it should. The other thing is the nurse, sometimes, depending on how serious it sounds, they may, instead of just putting it in the computer, they'll probably put it there, but they will also give your doctor a heads up. Hey, they are also concerned about this. You may need to make sure you talk about this or ask that. So give those concerns and list them out to the nurse. After the nurse leaves, the doctor is going to come in. They should have that information, but you can reiterate to them that I want to talk about this, this, and this. Sometimes the doctor may come in and say, hey, I hear that you are concerned about this, this, and this, right? So that's what you want to do. And if the doctor doesn't come out and say, what are your concerns, or I hear that you're concerned about this, then you tell them what you're concerned about and you list those concerns yourself. Again, just tell them the big picture. I'm concerned about abdominal pain, headache, and fatigue, especially if they're three different things and they don't all kind of happen together, they're three separate things. Then tell them those things so that way they can put it in their mind and say, okay, how do we need to prioritize this list? They may say, well, which one do you really want to address today? That way I know I spend enough time on it, right? The other reason why you want to list it out to them is because the other thing that it will do is what is of concern to you and what may be of least concern to you. That least concern thing actually may be of more concern to your doctor because they may be thinking about your medical history. So, for instance, you may have a wound and it's not that big a deal. It has healed, or it looks like it's healing. It has a little scab on it, and you feel like you are quite all right with it. But that wound is on your foot, and you have diabetes. So, your doctor, you say, I'm not really concerned about that. I'm concerned about my headaches. But your doctor hear that you have a wound on your foot that is healing, but you have diabetes. They say you can't walk out the door without me looking at your feet. I need to make sure that this is taken care of. The other thing is, if you mention that to the nurse, then the nurse may say, you know what, go ahead and take your shoes off. I'm going to get prepared. That way, the doctor will be ready to see it when you walk in. That's the other biggie. You tell the nurse can help you out and get things prepared for you. So go ahead and let them know, because then you both can prioritize, and your doctor can tell you, hey, I'm really concerned about this wound because I want to make sure that it doesn't get worse, yada yada yada. And then you will understand why that is important and how that got moved up on your list. But now the both of you can come together and talk about it together and go one by one on which ones are important, so that way you can get some peace of mind. Okay. What you don't want to do is tell them at the end of the visit, and keep that most important thing for last. Because what happens to me, and I know what happens to a lot of the other doctors, is you will come, we will do the whole visit, we'll do all the things, and then what'll happen is we will get ready to put our hand on the doorknob, and then they'll say, oh, by the way, oh, by the way, this is happening. Oh, by the way, I'm having an issue with this. And that, oh, by the way, a lot of times is a big deal thing. But you left it at the end. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. We actually may be out of time. So if they want to address it, depending on how big of a concern it is, they are going to have to rush through addressing it, asking you a couple of quick questions and saying, okay, this is what I think we might be able to do for it. That may not be the best thing for it, but that is the thing that I can do for it because this is the amount of time that I'm working in. So you don't want to do an oh, by the way. What you want to do is to follow the steps. And the steps is basically, the first thing is write it down, jot it down, put it in your phone. The second thing that you want to do is prioritize it, which is most important. And then the last thing that you want to do is just present it or list it. Don't go into all the details of it just yet. Just tell them this, and this is what's happening. And then once they figure out which ones we need to categorize, then you can go into the details and you can give them the information that they need so you guys can figure out the best plan. So I hope that that was helpful for you guys today. That is it for me. I know that this is something that if you use it, I promise you, you will start to see results. I can guarantee that you will start to see things change. You'll start to get some answers. But be sure to continue to subscribe, follow, share, all the things. Send the love my way. I will send it back to you. If you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss, let me know. I will see how I can fit them in and how it makes sense, and I can discuss it and make sure I'm sending you the right information. But until next time, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.